Today we're going to talk about a typical stand location and what goes into a stand to go call for coyotes or fox or predators in general. This stand here, the first step is acquiring permission and respecting the landowner. Fortunately, I have a vast amount of properties that I have on this landowner all over the country or all over the state here in Pennsylvania that I hunt, but this stand in particular holds a lot of unique features that make it a good predator hunting stand. First of all, it's always approach for me when I'm coming to a stand. I like to have my two number one roles in selecting a stand or calling a stand are wind and elevation. I got a natural westerly wind blowing left and right here as you see it, and that's going to give us a nice crosswind to call the stand. The other thing is having elevation, getting on something where you're secluded but you still have the ability to see any approaching predators come into your stand location. Here, my approach is I can hide behind the truck behind this fence row on the road. So I'm secluding my truck or my vehicle, and the approach is very non-invasive, so it's very quick along this fence row, this hedgerow, straight down here to get where I want to set and stand up. Now, why is this stand, in my mind, a good stand? What I have here is an apple orchard, and an apple orchard next to me holds a ton of prey animals such as rabbit, mice, a variety of prey animals. Fox and coyotes are naturally going to be found in areas where there's other prey animals. So this apple orchard is going to hold a lot of rabbits. And then I have a mountain here in central Pennsylvania. We like to get next to the foot of the mountain or as close as we can because that's where a lot of these coyotes live, is on the mountains in the woods. And I have some natural funnels here that we're going to look at in a little bit, and different hedgerows that are great places for predators to approach your stand. This one has some agriculture fields where we got hay fields, soybean, and corn mixed in here. So that's a perfect habitat for predators such as coyotes. Let's go out here and dissect this stand a little bit further. Now the next thing you want to do is, where is the call placement? Where am I going to sit? I like to identify where I'm going to plant my rear end to sit on the stand first before I go out and put the call out. I want to be able to shoot this whole area left to right, so I want to be able to shoot back this way. I want to look for cover. The first thing for concealment is something to break up your outline. You'll notice I have some elevation here. I'm going to sit next to this natural fence right here and some brush, and that's where I'm going to be sitting at. Now, call placement. We have a westerly wind. This wind's going left to right here. So we're hoping, or we're thinking, that coyotes are going to come straight from in front of us. If they would like to get the wind, they would pitch down to my wind to my right. So I want to get the call out this way, so that if they do come downwind, they're going to be downwind of the call, but not quite downwind from me. Okay, so we've approached the stand. We've got in here without spooking any other predators. We were, observant to that to make sure there wasn't anything that we spooked. The other thing I want to look for now is I got my call place, and now how am I going to call the actual stand itself, and how am I going to start my stand? Well, once I'm sitting down, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that my gun is in a position where I believe the coyotes are going to show up at, so I can have minimal movement when I do get an approaching predator. Make sure everything's right, everything's solid. That's what I do on every stand, and I'm good. So I'm ready to start calling. Now, I'm going to go through a sequence here because there are coyotes in this area. I'm going to start with a coyote sequence and how we're going to cover what sounds to play, how long do you sit on stand, a variety of things here. The first thing I'm going to do, my call's down there 50 yards from me. I'm going to start playing a sound called coyote pair. And what I'm trying to do is just establish that there are coyotes in this area. There's coyotes, or there's other coyotes here in this area to them. And that coyote pair sound, I'm going to also blow on the Mr. Mouthy with the smoking gun howler, just a lone howl on top of that. And I'm going to play that at a full volume. After I pause for a little bit on this stand, about 60 to, a minute to 2 minutes, I'm going to start playing a sound called Lil's Cottontail. It's one of my favorite sounds that I like to play. It's got a good high pitch and low end to it that can reach a far distance to try and attract a coyote. So about 2-3 minutes of Lil's cottontail. If I don't get anything to respond, I'm gonna switch sounds. I'm gonna go something that can reach out a little bit further, more volume, something like Eastern cottontail. And I'm not gonna be afraid to switch sounds and play a variety of sounds. So once I go to Eastern cottontail, it's gonna be a little bit more volume and reach out there a little bit further to try to trigger a response. You know, maybe something up there in the edge of the mountain came to the edge, but now I need something to change it up to see if they'll approach. 2 to 3 minutes of that. How long am I gonna sit on stand? That's the question I get a lot. I'm at 9 minutes right now with those few sounds that I've played. For coyotes here, I like to sit for about 16 to 18 minutes. Really, I'm about a numbers game. I'm a numbers guy. I like to do as many stands as I can, 16, 18 minutes. Now I could sit here for an hour. Maybe I'll call in one coyote. But if I've done 3 or 4 stands in 1 hour, I've maximized my opportunities to shoot a coyote instead of sitting here for 1 hour and maybe shooting one. Now I'm gonna switch it up to a loud sound, lightning jack, and just reach out there as far as I possibly can. I'm late in the stand at 10, 11 minutes. I wanna get it out there as loud as I can and out there as far as I can. And I'm gonna play this for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. Now I'm at about 12, 13 minutes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play a different coyote sound towards the end of the stand to kind of act like 2 coyotes showed up on it. And that sound that I'm gonna play is called yipping coyotes, and it sounds something like this. And on top of that, what my key thing that I'm gonna do here, when I play yipping coyotes at a pretty loud volume, full volume, right at the end of that sound where it starts to die off, I'm gonna hit pup distress 3, and I'm gonna ride pup distress 3 now for the next 3 or 4 minutes and see if I can get a response. I'm at 17 minutes right now. You just shared this stand with me for 17 minutes. You saw how we got to call this stand location. We didn't get anything to respond, but that doesn't mean there's not coyotes here. It could be a timing thing. A lot of times, what I like to look for when I'm hunting coyotes is other animals that could be out hunting, such as hawks. If they're sitting on post up on a telephone pole or a tree hunting a field, if you see house cats moving around in the field hunting too, that's a good indication that other coyotes and other predators are out hunting at that time of the day or night. So this stand I would call daytime or nighttime.
If you enjoyed this hunt, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to catch every hunt from Fox Pro Hunting TV.